Lauren and Angela, and this is Homeschool Unrefined. We created this podcast to change the conversation about homeschool. This is a place where we encourage each other to do less, be ourselves, embrace natural learning, and keep homeschool simple, real, and fun. We are longtime friends, Minnesotans, and practiced homeschool parents with our master's degrees in education. We are an inclusive and non-sectarian podcast and community. We believe Black Lives Matter and affirm LGBTQ plus families. We hope this is a place where we can all learn and grow together.
This is episode 152, What's Going On with Chores. And we are going to first dive into our aha moment. Angela, today you're up for an aha moment.
I am, yeah. Okay, so mine is kind of a two-parter. And my first aha moment came a few months ago. My second one came recently.
Nice.
Okay, so a few months ago, I realized, and if you're a patron, you've heard this, I realized that I have a lot of energy in the morning. Mm-hmm. And that's when I need to exercise hard.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah. A few months ago, I woke up at 5. This is how this happened. I woke up at 5 and I was like, I want to lift weights, which I have not ever done in years.
Yeah.
Years. Yeah. But I just had this urge and I did it. And I've since fallen out of lifting weights because I broke my wrist and whatever. But I still am waking up and doing yoga in the morning or something more, something a little bit more challenging.
Wow.
I've realized that I need to use my energy in the morning because that's a time. If I wait until later or think that I'm going to get to it later, I don't.
Yes. So true.
Yeah. Okay. So the thing that I realized recently was the same applies to school stuff. I think I was thinking for the last 10 years that I had, between 8 and 4 to do school stuff. And I've realized I have between 8 and maybe noon.
Yeah.
More like 11.
Ugh.
And after that, I just completely cannot do it. I mean, I can, but it's so hard if I don't get to it. So
if it's after lunch, it's you're dragging.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do math with both of my kids and I let them kind of set the schedule, but I've told them I cannot do math with you afternoon.
Yeah.
So let's fit this in early.
Which I think is so interesting because I feel like as a teacher, math was always an afternoon subject.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, always. Because I taught elementary.
Because there's reading in the morning.
Reading is always in the morning, math in the afternoon, and science.
Oh.
Yeah. Isn't that tough?
Poor everybody.
I know.
Poor kids doing math in the afternoon.
I know it.
Well, or maybe, I don't know. I was thinking, is this me because that's when I'm the highest energy? I know you're a little bit different.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you get energy bursts in the afternoon?
That's a good question. I think this really, for me, depends on where my kids are at. I mean, naturally, I think I'm not a morning person. I don't like to be super productive at 7 a.m. And I'm also not a night person. I need to, I turn off at about 9 p.m. But I have to say, right now, especially, I am great in the middle of the day, between 10 and 3. I'm really productive. Maybe even all the way till 5 sometimes. I can be pretty productive. But that was not always the case. When my kids were younger and they would get up at 6, I would be done by 11 a.m.
Yeah.
Or I'd be struggling until 11 a.m. and then, or whatever.
Or when you have a bunch of kids under 4 or 5.
Yes.
You're just tired all day.
Yes. And even when we started homeschooling, so my kids were in, lower elementary, just starting out. I feel like I was always done before noon. Always. There's nothing we would do after noon except play and rest. Yeah. That is it. Yeah. I couldn't expect anything of myself or them. Yeah. Afternoon, for sure. So it's shifted, but definitely my kids have shifted too. They would rather get up, later in the morning, and then it takes them an hour to wake up. Yeah. And then they're really productive too between 10 and 2 or 3 probably. Okay. The most. Yeah. So I don't know what's the most natural for me. I don't know. Yeah, but that's where I'm at. But fine. Probably just because my kids are there.
Yeah. So I feel like the moral of the story is figure out where your energy is and be okay with that. Because my kids are one of mine is waking up later too, and sometimes wanting to do math later. And, or like, hey, can we push this off? Can we do it like at 2? And I want to say yes, but I really need to be strong, and like, that's not going to work for me.
Yep.
We need to do it earlier, because otherwise I don't know. I'm tired and not giving my best attention. So.
Yes, for sure. Or just think of like the easiest things you can do at your lowest point of the day. And that's like, don't force things.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. If you are interested in joining us on Patreon, that is a place where we have more content and community for just $5 a month.
All right. Our episode topic today is about chores. And, we've talked about chores throughout the years here on the podcast and beyond. We talk about chores a lot, I feel like. And I think it's like one of those topics that there's no there's no like clear cut, like do it this way. When your kids are this age, they can do this. And I think there's a lot out there that maybe says that, but everybody's so individual and it's so different for everybody.
Totally.
Even like our own standards and what we need or want done in our house. It's all just so personal.
It's so personal. I feel like you and I have much different chore situations. I mean, not much different, but I feel like we do tackle chores a bit differently. So, because we're different people. So, and like I'm married to somebody who's real into chores.
Yeah.
That
and I'm
also
married to somebody who is definitely not, not. So I think that definitely plays a part in it for sure. Yeah.
All right. One thing I have realized over the years is chores take both time and attention from the parent. You have to be able to give both time and attention. You have to be able to accommodate both those things. If you cannot, it is okay to skip chores for a season. There have been many seasons throughout my parenting life that we have not done chores. And I am okay with that.
I mean, I think sometimes it's really easy to freak out and say, oh my goodness, my 6-year-old doesn't know how to, whatever, make his bed or something.
I'm doing everything and my kids aren't doing anything. Well, maybe it's easier for you at that time because it's easier for you to just do it than have them help you.
Yeah.
It's because honestly, like them helping you at age 6 or 7 or 8 or 5 or whatever is not like really a help.
And I have to say, my kids are 10, 12, and 14. And I just went through that season too. I mean, we were working so hard on training our kids to do a few things around the house. And I got burned out by that. I did. And so we just stopped it for a while. We're coming back to it slowly, but I needed a break from it. And
that's okay. And I don't think you need to catastrophize and say like, my kid is going to be an adult and never know how to wash a floor or whatever.
Yes.
Like you have many years to teach skills and it will come.
And the fact that they may not do everything all the time and they'll still be okay as adults. They're going to be okay if they haven't ever done something by the time they're 18 or whatever. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
I never cooked a meal till I was married.
Yeah. Wow.
For real. Did you?
I made very, very simple meals.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Simple.
I ate stuff on my own, like yogurt and sandwiches, but I didn't like make a meal.
Yeah.
So, and I'm fine.
I know.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Totally. Oh, you're doing great.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I think is really important to remember is that our standards as adults and the people who own the house or whatever, are paying the rent for the apartment or whatever, we have different standards than our kids who their priorities are very different than ours. So their idea of clean or a finished product is going to look different. And I don't think it's our job to get them to come and see our perspective exactly on the situation. Like what our goal is. I mean, it's good for them to understand my expectations, I think. And to do that for us and for our family, that's important. But for them to get on board with like being super excited about having this clean house, it's just, they may not ever get there. And that's okay. It's okay.
They're just, I don't want to say they are like, they don't care if don't care if the floor is cleaned. They don't have a stake in that right now.
I mean, it would, really, my kids would be oblivious if we had like a sticky floor. They'd be like, oh, we'll just walk around that spot for like days. They'd be fine with it.
And that's okay. That's not their worry right now. Yeah. So like you asking them to do it is really just another thing they have to do or thing they're checking off. It's not like something they're really invested in right now.
Right.
I mean, I think those things can be over the years, but
they absolutely can. And I think they grow into that for sure.
They grow into that.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Should we talk about why we do chores?
Yes, let's talk about why. Why are we doing chores? What's the what's the purpose of a chore?
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, one of the things for me is I need their help. We need to get things done, and so I know, like I said, at age 6, 7, or 8, sometimes those things can be helpful, but I am training them for the long haul because I know that I'm going to need help later, and so I think we're in my house. We're a family of 5.
Yeah.
My husband and I are not the only ones who should be doing those chores. Like we all live together. We all should be contributing together. So
right.
I think that's really important.
Yes, I agree. And like you said though, like that training takes a lot of time and energy. So like I think I liked how you said this is for the long haul. I mean, we're raising them to be adults who can do these things. So I think that's like a good reason to do chores. We want them to not be surprised, about, what it takes to clean up a kitchen.
Or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Fold clothes, all that kind of stuff. So, know, that it's not like a shock when they become an adult. Oh, I have to do all these things now. So,
yeah. Right. Right. I mean, another thing is responsibility, just so that they know, having a house and being a family takes responsibility. There are a lot of things that need to be done. So it's teaching that through chores. I feel like, and we didn't talk about this ahead, Mar, but homeschool is just like it's one of the great things about homeschool.
It is.
Okay. Like we're teaching life skills. This is something that sometimes kids who go to public school don't have time for chores, which I completely understand. They're really busy. Yeah. So I think this is one of the advantages to being home is that you can teach these valuable life skills. Right.
Without getting completely worn out by all the other things in your life. You can kind of pare a lot of things down so you have room for this.
Right.
I think another great reason to do chores is it gives a child a sense of purpose and feeling they're coming to the family with contribution, and that feels really good. It it raises their self-esteem. If it's if you're doing it right, that they feel really good and they're like, I'm really helping my family out.
Yes, that's good. That's good. Another thing is working as a team.
Yeah.
I think about this when all 3 of my kids are doing dishes together and the negotiation, to put it kindly, that goes on. I think, if someday they get a job at McDonald's or a restaurant or something, they are going to have the same thing. I'll wash these and you wash these.
Yes.
And this is a good life skill. And it's good to practice this with your siblings.
Yes.
Because you'll have some good foundational skills for later.
And I feel like it's a good balance for me when I'm in the position of doing, taking on more. I do kind of feel like I want to work more as a team, as the mom. I want to work more as a team. I don't want to take all of this on. I want to distribute the responsibility, even though I'm kind of managing it, but it feels good for me to just I don't know, to have that community of the family working together.
Yeah.
And I feel like I can keep going then. I can keep going,
great.
even though it is a lot of work for me still. But it just feels like that sense of community and working together.
That's great. That's great. All right. Let's talk about why we wouldn't do chores or why we might stop for a season.
Yes. So we talked a lot about it is managing. It's a lot of work and we're managing it. We are the ones who are doing it. So if that is too much right now, and like I said, I've been there very recently, it's okay to not do it.
Yeah. Yep. Sometimes the pressure on the child becomes too much and the child is overwhelmed. And one thing I've learned about that is a lot of times kids are able to do something and then the next day or the next week or the next year, they are unable to do it.
Yes.
It's too overwhelming. Yep. It isn't completely an up and to the right thing.
Once they've learned linear. It's not. It's just not.
Right. And so we have to know that, like, yeah, I know you could do your laundry last week. This week, it might just be too overwhelming. Like, how can I come along and support you
Yes.
in that? What can I do to help make this easier for you?
And every child is different. Like, my oldest was doing these things at 8 and, some things at 8 that my 10-year-old still isn't doing. And that's okay too. Like, they're very different people.
Yes. In addition to that, I just want to also note, sometimes kids can do more than you think they can. That's actually often the case.
Yep.
I find out, wow, you did that? I didn't expect that you would. So you're surprising me in all the ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another reason just to stop for a while is if a child is like resenting the parents for whatever, if something feels off relationship wise, I think it's okay to back off for a while.
Yeah.
And if there's any time where the doing the chores is just not serving the purposes that we just talked about. Like here, you could even think about this for yourself. What are the reasons why I'm doing these chores or having my kids do them? And if those things aren't happening when your kids are doing the chores, then maybe it's time to just stop, reevaluate, or change things.
Right. Also, you might know that it might be time to change chores if kids are getting silly or bored or complaining. And I have to tell you, like, chores are boring. I mean, you know that, right? We all know that?
Yeah.
Like, it helps us all to change them up a lot.
Totally.
Yeah. And so, like, not just like what you're doing, but it might be like the time of day or, how long you're doing it or for what, like, incentive. I don't know.
Yes.
There are lots of ways to change things up, and we have to do it often.
Yes. And I have noticed too, I have had a few kids come in, suggest chores that they could do instead of the ones that I thought of. And I think that's great. Sometimes that works out. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I'm like, I still need you to take out the garbage.
Yeah.
But you can do that other thing or whatever. But sometimes it does work out. Like I have a child who's like, I would make an extra meal a week or 2 extra meals a week if I didn't have to do this one thing. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I'd rather do your chore than make 2 other meals. So that's like a good compromise for me.
Good trade.
Yes.
All right. Let's move on to what chores look like now for each of us.
Yeah. Yeah. So how about
and
you,
what they
Angela?
looked like in the past.
Yeah.
So, I know my kids are, tweens and teens. I have almost 16, 14, and 12. And so I'll tell you what they look like now. And then I'll tell you what we used to do too when they were younger. Or maybe should I start with younger?
Up to you.
Okay. I'll start with now.
Sure.
I was thinking before, this recording that we don't do that many chores. And that's what I was sort of had in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'll tell you a backstory. I realized a couple years ago that I was doing chores I was having my kids do chores in the morning. And that was so draining. Like I had talked about in my aha moment. Morning, I want to do like more things that I enjoy or like are more exciting in the morning. I couldn't spend all this time like trying to get them to do chores when I'm just not really that into it. Yeah. I also have a husband who's like into chores. It's his like, he just thinks like teaching responsibility and is just the most important thing. Right. And I respect that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, wait a minute. Why don't you just be in charge of this? And so he has been in charge of chores now for a couple of years, and it's been so great because I just stay out of it. So, so I was thinking those are the chores that we do, is just those chores that he like assigns to the kids. But then once I realized, oh no, a lot of our chores are just kind of built in to our life, to our family life. And I think that's because my kids are older now, but they're doing things like usually making dinner once a week. Yep. Every night after we eat, we're like negotiating who's cleaning up. I mean, it's like, well, I did it last night. So now these 2 people did it last night. So these 2 people can do it tonight. Or these 2 people made dinner. So these 2 people can clean up or something like that. Right. And everybody they just do it.
They figure it out.
Because, because we know like we all need to be equally helpful.
Yes. Which is great because when those discussions happen, that means they are not assuming that their mom or their parent is the one cleaning.
For sure. That's just the best part about it. That's so great. The best parts. I know. They've been doing their own laundry for a long time. So I don't even really help with that. I do help my 12-year-old sometimes get motivated to fold and put away. He gets to that part and he just hates it.
Yeah.
And so I'll be like, pick out all your pants. Just do your pants today. Put those away, or I'll try and motivate him, or I'll say like, I'll fold the shirts, you fold the pants.
Yep.
So I do support in that, but my kids for the most part are doing their own laundry. Then we have a couple of paid chores that are, one of my kids is cleaning the kitchen once a day and gets paid every week for that.
Nice.
So she cleans the kitchen like late morning.
Okay.
And gives it a really good clean. And then she does that 5 days a week. And then my other child is vacuuming the entire floor. And we have like a huge, like we have an open, kitchen, dining room, living room all together. So that child is vacuuming really well every day. And we have a dog. And this is just like, I'm so grateful.
Great. That's awesome.
I'm so grateful. It's the most needed chore. And they get paid for that too.
Those are two great jobs to pay for, because if those two things get done every day,
I know
your house looks pretty good.
Pretty good. It does. It looks pretty good.
Yeah.
It looks pretty good. And I am happy. And they are both like saving for something. And I just think like it's worth it to them. Because they're like, well, this only takes me like 15 minutes. So
totally.
Okay, so those are our two paid ones. And then my husband, like I said, he sets up these weekly small chores. So it'll be like Monday, one child needs to go around and wipe the windowsills from dog hair. Yep. Or like one person needs to organize the entryway. Or, one person needs to clean the glass where the dog slobbered on this one part, So, and sometimes there's a hard one, like clean your bathroom. So they just know like, that one's going to take them a little bit longer. And they can do all the chores in one day. They can do them spread out once a day for a week. They can manage how they're doing that. So that's kind of what it looks like now. Oh, and he pays them a little bit for those.
Nice. So. Nice.
Yeah.
I love that.
I feel like you should talk about what you're doing now, and then we can talk about what we did when kids were younger.
That sounds great.
Okay.
So we have recently just changed because up until this point, we've been doing where everybody has one thing in the kitchen to do per day. So like one person's doing the dishwasher, one person's doing just counter cleanup, like putting things away.
Oh, yeah.
And then
that's a big one.
One person is wiping the counters and one person is sweeping. So those are like...
Is that at a certain time, or is that like whenever you get to it?
Usually it's like after a meal. Everybody does their thing. But the dishwasher person has to do it. It's often, right away in the morning. So I think that was the big issue. Like now that my kids are getting older, getting the dishwasher cleaned out in the morning was not always happening until 1 p.m., or something.
Yeah.
So there's it just wasn't working. It wasn't like smooth anymore. It had been smooth, which was great. And then it just didn't work anymore. So now we're just kind of doing kind of the same thing where it's like, okay, the dishwasher, often in the morning, I'll just clean out the dishwasher now.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of into that now. It's just how it is, which is interesting because that used to be the thing that I hated the most. And it's the thing I needed off my plate for so long. And maybe that was just because at some point I knew my kids could do it and that's something I could let go of,
Yeah.
So now I don't know. I took a break from it for so long and I'm just ready to go back and to have a clean dishwasher, which is really nice. Yeah. Because then when kids get up, they can clean up their own stuff now and put everything in the dishwasher right away. So basically everybody is kind of we're all working on cleaning up our own stuff. I make breakfast, I put away all that breakfast stuff.
That's so good. That's so good.
Yeah. And then after lunch, we do like an all family cleanup of the kitchen. And then whenever it's time, like our day is we're kind of closing down our to-dos and everybody's going off to maybe play on a screen or whatever. Right before that, I usually do like a quick 5-minute cleanup, which is... I think I got that idea from somebody in our Patreon group. It's just very quick, 5 minutes, and I sometimes will assign a room. I want you to work I want you to just clean up that room. You clean up that room for 5 minutes. And often that includes the entryways too, because that, so easily gets like jumbled up. So, so that happens at least once a day, but it can often happen. But here's the thing. What I like to do is if it's kind of like something that I'm springing on them, like, I want you guys to do this right now. And I know it's not going to be, it's not going to be taken well, or they're going to be like, what now? What do you want me to do here? I often do it just right before something they really want to do, which is screens. And I make it quick. It's a quick thing. Just do it quick. And then you get the thing you want. So, which is great. That's what I do. And when I have to do something I don't want to do, I quick do it and then do something I want to do.
For sure. So smart.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of, and then on the weekends we have, just like kind of two bigger jobs. We do floors.
Okay.
And we do bathrooms. So everybody has a part of each of those to do. And so, that's, just something to expect. And then they do get, allowance once a week. And a lot of it is for that big chunk. After we do the big projects those two big projects on the weekend.
Yeah.
Then they get their allowance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's motivation to do it.
It is. Yes.
Really smart.
Yeah. But I do feel like things pop up too. I need help with this. When we get our shipped order, I need everybody to put all the stuff away.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and I feel like my kids are generally very willing now, which I really appreciate. I don't know if it's because I've trained them well or they're older. But yeah, the shipped order comes and I'll be like, can one person empty the shipped order? One person take out the garbage and recycling and one person wipe the counters? Thanks.
Yes.
And they're willing. It takes 5 minutes.
Another thing that I've let go of is having a schedule for the dog. We've always had a schedule for our dog. This person is taking care of the dog today or this week or whatever, and we're just not doing that anymore. It's easier for it. I feel like what happened is there's always somebody nearby when they see Finn's dog bowl empty. It's time to refill it,
and then they do it,
and they just it's just time to do it. It's just or sometimes people just, I have some kids who just like doing it more than others, and they just do it.
Yeah.
It's like something fun to do.
That's so good.
Oftentimes the younger kids, are more willing to, fill a dog bowl. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
That's
just
great.
Something fun. Or play outside with Finn or.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then cleaning up dog poop is always, that's the thing that's still tough.
What I do for that is I send my kids out and I say, everyone needs to pick up 10 clumps.
Yeah. Smart.
Here's the bags.
Yep. We need to do that. I think we have to wait till the snow melts a little bit. It's not fun.
Oh, yeah. I'm not doing it in the winter.
Fun.
I'm not doing it in the winter.
Yeah.
It's like summer.
Yeah.
The spring's going to be bad, but yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. So how about when your kids were younger? Can you think of anything that would be helpful?
It's so funny. What was such a part of my life for so long, I have now completely forgotten. Not completely, but I was trying to remember, and it did jog my memory. For many years, I did, I had 3 chores because I have 3 kids.
Yes.
It was like something like, sweep the floor, empty the dishwasher, and something else, clean up toys. One of the, something like that. And each person was in charge for a week. And then the next week, we'd switch them. Yep. And the next week, we'd switch them. So you kind of got good at whatever your thing was for the week. And then within those 3 chores, we'd switch them sometimes too. Yep. So I remember doing that. I remember it was a lot of kitchen stuff. So a lot of set the table.
Yep.
Clear the table. Empty the dishwasher. Help with dinner.
Yes.
Clean your room. Pick up the toys. A lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It was usually also like one thing per day. They just did one smallish thing per day.
Right.
I do remember I had a season too where I put a bunch of extra chores on little cards.
Yeah,
I don't remember what I did. It was like clean mom's car or, vacuum out mom's car or just things that you wouldn't do every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, this is so funny. They were so young. I remember like if you did a chore, like you could just pick it and do it anytime and you would get 75 cents.
So great.
And that was real exciting at first.
Yes.
Real exciting at first.
Yes.
And then it was like, wait a minute, I'm getting 3/4.
Ouch.
I wanted to motivate them to like, want to make money or whatever. That didn't really work that well. But the thing is like things work for a season.
Yes.
And then you got to change things up.
Exactly.
And that's okay.
Yes. It's so true.
Yeah. How about you?
We had a chart for years when my kids were younger, and it was very similar. It was like the top part of the dishwasher, the bottom part of the dishwasher.
Yep.
Wipe in the bathroom. So it was like, wipe the sink and the toilet or something.
Yeah.
Once a day. But, these are kids doing. So it wasn't like I knew it wasn't going to get super clean every day. But I figured by the end of the week.
Yeah.
It'd probably be.
It's not bad. A kid swipe is good.
I think it was wipe the sink. And then one kid needed to wipe the sink. One kid needed to wipe the toilet.
Yeah.
So it was like, that's 4 things. So 4 kids.
Yeah.
So that was it. And then same thing. I always struggled with like, how often do we need to clean up our house? Because our kids were constantly pulling stuff out when they were younger. I mean, it was the floor was just always full of toys, always full of activities. And the table was full of art projects all day long. Like, I don't think we used our dining room table for like a year straight, just because it was just always being used for something. And so, and a lot of time it was ongoing. It was ongoing projects that was really hard to just put them away too. So I was in agony about that for so long. I wish I would now, looking back, would have, felt less stressed out about it, but I don't know if that's possible. I don't. Yeah. I really don't know.
Yeah.
But I would have definitely given myself a lot more grace. I would like to think that I would have. It was a season, and our kids were being it wasn't like so cluttered that they couldn't even find. That's like the thing that I can't handle, is when things are so cluttered I can't even find the things that I actually want. But when, we definitely minimized toys so that there was just what we had, and if it was all out, it still wouldn't be like overwhelming. And so I think we did the same thing though too, where it was like once a day or twice a day we'd be like, let's just put everything away and then we can take it all back out again if we want to, when it was like a natural ending to things, or rest time or something, then we would just quick clean up. But I will say, with 4 kids, we had 4 kids in 4 years. Sometimes I didn't have the energy to clean up before rest time. And that is okay too. It is really okay that the toys stayed out.
Yeah.
And the kids didn't have to learn to pick up every day, all day. That's okay that they didn't know that. They're good at it now. They're fine.
Yeah.
They're doing a great job.
Yes, for sure. I was going to say, when you were talking about bathrooms, I remember at that point when my kids were younger, probably like 7, 5, and 3 and older, I started buying like, wipes, like what?
Yes.
Not flushable, but throwaway wipes. I never did that before. I always just like used a rag, and I was like, wait a minute. I need to make this easy on them. How can I make this as easy as possible?
Right.
We are buying the wipes. And so I still do that. And I feel kind of guilty about it, but
you have to choose your battles.
I want a clean bathroom.
Understandable.
So, yeah.
Yep.
All right. Wow. All right. Let's move on to our listener question.
Yeah. Listener question.
Okay. So our listener question this week is about when your kid has a passion that is something you're not very excited about, like video games or screens, or if you don't feel like your kid has any other passion. And so we are going to talk about that in Patreon. So please join us over there if you'd like to hear that conversation.
Yeah. Can't wait for that.
Yes.
All right.
Let's move on to loving this week.
All right.
Marin, what are you loving this week?
Okay. I am loving a show that my kids just introduced me to.
Okay.
It's on Peacock.
Okay. All right.
which is a streaming channel.
Are you buying Peacock? You
my
bought Peacock?
2 oldest daughters are paying for Peacock so they can watch
Wow.
The Office.
See,
It's the
my
only
kids
place-
have been asking about that. And I'm like, I'm not buying Peacock.
No, I'm
So
not
you can
buying
watch
it
The
either. They're buying it.
Okay.
But there's a show on there. It's a new show. It's called The Amber Ruffin Show. Amber
Okay.
Ruffin is a comedian, a Black woman. She is the first Black woman to be a writer for a comedy show. She wrote for Seth Meyers. She has her own show on Peacock now.
Oh.
And
okay.
I am loving it. I'm loving it. I feel like we watch a few clips of hers. We like to watch comedic news as a family. Let's just back up, and I think you've probably heard me talk about this, but we like to watch Trevor Noah and Seth Meyers and all that kind of stuff. So this like fits really nicely into that category.
Yep.
But also I feel like she's educated me so much on so many things, more than any of those other people have. So I feel like, and she has said, yes, I know. Isn't it surprising? She said, she has said before, isn't it surprising that you had to learn this on a comedy show? It's like Black history and things like that.
Yeah.
That she's like, this is, I guess, where, I'm going to, you have to learn about Black history.
You're not
these
learning
days.
this in school.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
wait a minute. The show you're watching on Peacock is her, like, is it comedic news?
yes.
Or is it
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right. Gotcha.
Yep. So.
And are you watching with the kids?
I am. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, they showed it to me. They're the ones who told me about it because, we were looking for other great little clips we could watch with some news. And my oldest daughter's like, oh, we have to watch Amber Ruffin. And I was like, okay. I don't know. It was great.
Okay. Yeah.
You
are
would
kind of
really-
convincing me.
You'd really like her.
To get Peacock.
You would.
How many streaming services do I need? How
Apparently
many can
a
I
lot now.
justify because it's a pandemic?
I've heard talk about how, like in the future there will be one thing that you can, it's kind of
It'll be like cable.
It'll be
again.
like cable where you're like,
Yeah.
I want Netflix and
This
Hulu and this.
package.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that.
I'm almost ready for it.
But actually, like, it's going to be better than cable because
Yes.
I can choose.
Yes,
Easier.
exactly.
Better content.
Totally. All right.
All right.
Angela, what are you loving this week?
Okay. I am loving 2 books on unschooling. This is usually in our LTWs, we don't share like homeschool related stuff, but I really wanted to this time because I wanted you all to know. I don't know that I'm an unschooler. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Probably not. I don't think I am, but I really I don't even know totally what that is. What it is.
I know.
But I love both of these books. One I have talked about before in Patreon. The other one I haven't.
Okay.
Raising Free People by Akilah S. Richards.
Oh yes.
This book, okay, so Akilah has a podcast, Fair of the Free Child.
Yes.
You may have listened to it. It's about unschooling. And she wrote a book. Her book
She's
is
wonderful.
amazing.
She's
Her book is
wonderful.
amazing.
Yes, I'm reading it too.
Are you?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So this is, I would call it like part memoir, part like manifesto.
Mm-hmm.
It's about her family's experience, transitioning from like a schooled life to an unschooled life.
Yeah.
It's a look at how like unschooling can be a part of healing and liberation work, especially for Black families and other families of color who can be harmed by our educational system.
Yes.
It's something I've not heard talked about before. So I really think it's an important thing to read. It's an important message.
How do we get this into everybody's hands?
I know.
Yep.
Okay. And my next one, which I think pairs well with this, is Untigering by Iris Chen.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I
She
have
also
this
has-
book.
You have this
I
book.
have not
Okay.
started
You
it.
need to read it.
Okay.
She also has a great Instagram account, Untigering.
Yeah.
So
I could share everything.
I know.
I
I,
like
feel
to
like
reshare
every time I know, I want to reshare all her stuff. So Iris is a Chinese American whose family spent many years living in China as Americans. And so she is talking about parenting and undoing a lot of the authoritarian parenting beliefs she was raised with. And she was also immersed in living in China. They are also unschoolers. But this is more, I would say it feels more like a parenting book. It's very accessible, easy to read and understand. She says things like so plainly and like things that I'm like, yes, I needed somebody to say that to me in this obvious way.
Yes.
I feel like some of these things I've known, but I kind of had to figure them out. I wish I would have had this book when my kids were younger.
Oh
and I know she's similar. Like she has gone on this journey.
Right,
Her kids are now probably like my kids' age. And so she has also had to figure a lot of this stuff out too. So I would say like, if you have young kids, especially, like I would highly recommend this book, and older kids. I just think it's really, really well done. I did read also, like probably 10 years ago, Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mother. Which is that what it's called? Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mother. I don't know. You guys might know what I'm talking about, but
I think I know what book you're talking about, and I think it might be called something else.
Okay.
But I don't know. Unless we're talking about different books.
Okay. Well, anyway, this is sort of the like antithesis to that. Is that the right word? Antithesis? The opposite?
Yeah.
Of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, well, there is a book. I'm looking. There is a book called Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mother.
And who's the author?
Let me look.
Sorry,
I'm not.
It's okay.
I'm going to tell you. Hold on. Amy Chua?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Okay.
And, you know, it's just a very different style of parenting, more authoritarian. You know, her kids played lots of piano. I think we talked about this book at the time.
Violin, right?
The piano and the violin. Yes. And they did the method that we did.
Suzuki. Yep.
Suzuki.
Yep.
Yeah. They did that. And so it was a very interesting book to read.
Yeah.
But this is like much the opposite of that.
Yes.
So
yes.
Anyway, the other thing I love about this book is it's very like, she acknowledges like we're all on a journey of untigering. And it kind of like was similar to like deschooling or decolonizing. Just like, you know, like undoing a lot of these beliefs. Like it's a journey. It's not like you have it mastered, which I really, really like. So I highly recommend both of those.
I got to get into that.
Yep. We'll put links in the show notes. So
yeah, for sure.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. You can find us on social media. We're at Homeschool Unrefined on Facebook and Instagram. We also have a website, homeschoolunrefined.com, where you can find links to everything that we talked about. And we will see you next week.
Thanks for listening. Homeschool Unrefined is created and produced by Maren Gorse and Angela Sizer. Amanda Ginn is our content and marketing strategist. This podcast is listener supported. Join our growing community at patreon.com/homeschoolunrefined.
We donate 10% of all Patreon income and product sales to The Conscious Kid, a Black and Brown-led organization that has been instrumental in our own evolution and in leading the way in both ideological and tangible change with their work in parenting and education through a critical race lens.
No matter how you homeschool, you are exactly who your kids need. You're doing great.